Ladies and gentlemen, what if I told you that the most powerful move you can make to unlock someone's heart has nothing to do with looking perfect, saying the right thing, or playing games? It's not about chasing, it's about choosing. The second you stop trying to be liked and start showing up as the standard, everything changes. You stop auditioning and they start investing. This isn't a trick, it's a shift. And once you make it, they'll never see you the same way again. Stay with me. This could change how you love forever. Confidence is often mistaken for volume, bravado, or an over-the-top persona. But true confidence operates in subtle, precise movements. It doesn't rush, it doesn't chase, and it certainly doesn't beg for attention. When someone walks into a room with presence, you can feel it without them saying a word. That's the kind of confidence that leaves a lasting impression. The quiet kind, the grounded kind. I want to be the softest of men, the quiet kind, the grounded kind. In dating, we often assume we have to be louder, more visible, more flirtatious to be noticed, but the most powerful move you can make to unlock someone's heart is being intentional, not excessive. It's in knowing exactly who you are and showing up with clarity and calm. You don't need to prove anything to someone when you already know your worth. You simply let your energy and standards do the talking. The truth is, people respond more to energy than to effort. You can do all the right things, text first, show interest, be fun, but if your energy is needy or unsure, it will show. Being strategic with your presence means you know when to lean in and when to lean back. You're not reacting to every little signal, you're choosing your responses. This doesn't mean playing games, it means you're emotionally grounded. The kind of move that unlocks someone's heart isn't some rehearsed line or performance. It's that moment you choose to show up real, centered, and unapologetically yourself. That move might be saying less instead of over-explaining. It might be silence instead of over-texting. And often, it's just being fully present rather than trying to impress. You can tell a lot about someone by how comfortable they are with space and silence. Someone who's secure doesn't fear the pause. In fact, they know the pause is where depth lives, where connection can breathe. Making one intentional move often means not filling every moment with noise. It's asking a question and then listening fully. It's holding eye contact a second longer. It's showing someone they're being heard instead of planning your next sentence. These small, controlled moves send a message. I'm not trying to win you over. I'm showing you who I am. That quiet confidence invites someone in instead of pushing them away. It doesn't scream, "Look at me," it whispers, "See me." And the right person leans closer. Being strategic isn't manipulation, it's self-respect. It's understanding that your energy is valuable, and you don't throw it at anyone just because they seem interested. It's being mindful of your time, your availability, and your emotional investment. You don't unlock someone's heart by overwhelming them. You do it by showing that your world is full, that your attention is a privilege, not a guarantee. When someone senses that you have standards, real, lived standards, they lean in. People crave what they have to earn, not what's just handed to them. That's why confidence needs to be paired with discernment. You're not just offering love, you're offering access, and access must be earned. We tend to think love is about constant expression, but often it's about restraint. The most attractive move you can make is knowing when not to speak, when not to text, when not to correct. You allow space for the other person to step up, to choose you, to show effort. That's when their heart starts to open, when they feel like they're actively part of the connection, not passively receiving your energy. Intentional presence means you don't give away your emotions freely. You're kind, warm, and authentic, but you're not over-punishing. That's the secret to emotional magnetism. It's not doing more, it's doing less, but with precision. Intentional confidence also shows up in your boundaries. The one move might be saying no kindly when you would have said yes, just to keep them interested. It's ending the date when it feels right, not stretching it because you're afraid they'll lose interest. These small actions build a foundation of respect. You're showing them, not telling them, that you live by your values, and people can feel that. They may not say it, but they'll respond to it. Emotional leadership is attractive. When you know how to lead yourself, you create space for a relationship that's based on mutual energy, not pursuit and performance. Many people make the mistake of trying to win someone over. They lead with how much they like the other person instead of showing who they are. But the move that unlocks someone's heart flips that dynamic. It places your identity at the center, not your desire to be chosen. You stop auditioning and start evaluating. And that shift changes everything. It's not about arrogance, it's about alignment. You're not trying to be the most entertaining, the most attractive, or the most agreeable. You're simply being honest, grounded, and clear. That energy is rare, and it cuts through the noise. The magic of a single move lies in its clarity. When you know what you bring to the table, you stop negotiating your worth. That certainty creates attraction because it gives the other person something to trust. We're all drawn to people who are solid in themselves, and in dating that translates into how you speak, how you listen, how you walk away when things aren't right. Unlocking someone's heart isn't about chasing. It's about standing still and letting them feel the gravity of your presence. Sometimes, the boldest move is simply not chasing at all. Let your stillness speak volumes. You don't have to do everything right to create a powerful connection. You just have to do one thing with intention. Maybe that one thing is showing up to the date with total presence. Phone down, eyes up, heart open. Maybe it's letting someone miss you instead of filling the space. Maybe it's simply owning your silence and letting them do the talking. The beauty of that one move is that it's rooted in who you already are. You don't have to become someone else. You just have to step into your power and stop shrinking it to fit what you think someone else wants. Ultimately, the move that unlocks someone's heart is never about control, it's about alignment. You're not trying to manipulate emotions, you're anchoring into your own. When you act from that place, every word, every look, every pause carries more weight. You move with grace, not desperation. You choose responses over reactions, and you create a space that invites real connection, not just attention. That's what makes you unforgettable. Because while others are still trying to impress, you're already expressing not performance, but presence. And in the end, that's the only move that ever really works. When it comes to forming real connection, most people are stuck in the trap of trying to be liked. They enter conversations already rehearsing what to say, how to be charming, how to look perfect. But in doing so, they forget the most important thing. People don't fall for someone because they're impressive. They fall because they feel seen. When you stop performing and start being curious, everything shifts. The move isn't to grab attention, it's to give presence. Instead of thinking, what should I say to keep them interested? Try asking, what do I want to understand about this person? It's a subtle difference, but it changes the entire dynamic. Real attraction grows when people feel emotionally safe, not when they feel like they're in an interview. And emotional safety begins with genuine curiosity, not approval seeking. So many people are used to being pursued for their looks, their resume, or their surface charm. What cuts through all of that is someone who pays attention to the quiet things, the little details most people miss. When you ask someone about what really drives them or how they felt about something instead of just what happened, you create space for depth. That's where their walls start to come down. Not because you're flashy, but because you're different. You're tuned in. The simple act of listening with intention is more seductive than any perfect outfit or clever line. You're showing that your attention isn't cheap. You're not just passing time, you're engaged. People want to feel like they matter, and the fastest way to show that is by truly seeing them, not just observing them. There's a kind of power in being the person who makes others feel comfortable being themselves. When someone doesn't have to posture or filter their words, they feel drawn to you without even realizing why. It's not because you said something brilliant, it's because you created emotional space. That's what real intimacy feels like. Most people think they have to entertain their way into someone's heart, but that usually leads to short-term attention, not long-term connection. The real move is giving someone permission to be fully human around you. It starts with asking better questions and giving them the chance to share who they are beyond the surface. That kind of presence doesn't just attract, it disarms. It softens people. It builds trust quickly and deeply. You don't unlock someone's heart by being the most interesting person in the room. You do it by being the most interested. It sounds simple, but it's rare. We live in a world of short attention spans and surface-level exchanges, and the surface elements of quicksand salary change sooner than the surface-level exchanges. So when someone shows up and actually wants to know you, not just what you do, but how you feel, how you see the world, it feels unforgettable. That's the move. That's the key. When people feel seen, they feel emotionally connected, and that connection is what creates real desire. It's not about trying harder, it's about being present, being curious, and letting the other person reveal who they are at their own pace. You're not pulling, you're inviting. You're not demanding, you're witnessing. It's easy to fall into the trap of oversharing in hopes that someone will like you more. But the goal isn't to impress someone with how deep you are. It's to make them feel like their depth is welcome. Instead of jumping into long stories about your past, try slowing down and asking more about theirs. Let the connection be a two-way street. When you shift your focus to making someone else feel safe, not entertained, you change the entire tone of the interaction. People don't remember what you said. They remember how they felt around you. If they felt like they didn't have to perform, if they felt seen and appreciated for who they are, that stays with them. That's how emotional bonds form. Through space, not spotlight. This kind of approach requires patience. And patience is a powerful form of confidence. You're not rushing to impress because you know that genuine connection unfolds over time. You're not afraid of a slow burn because you're not trying to win someone, you're trying to know them. And you're letting them know you, slowly and honestly. That's how trust is built. When someone feels like you're not trying to extract approval, they relax. And in that relaxation, their guard drops and their real personality shows up. That's when the connection deepens. The best move you can make is to slow down enough to meet someone where they are, not to speed them up, not to fix them, just to understand them. One of the most underrated skills in dating and in life is the ability to make someone feel like they're the only person in the room. That level of attention is magnetic. It tells them you matter here, not because of what you've achieved or how you look, but because that's a rare gift. When you're in that space, your presence becomes undeniable, and the other person starts to crave it, because we're all hungry for real connection, for moments where we don't have to try so hard. Being that space for someone is more powerful than any flirtation technique. It doesn't require effort, just awareness, just the willingness to be quiet enough to truly hear someone. Often, the difference between a spark that fades and a connection that lasts is how emotionally attuned you are. You're not just nodding along or smiling politely, you're catching what they aren't saying. You're listening between the lines. You notice the hesitation in their voice, the pause before they answer, the moment they light up when talking about something they love. Those are clues. Those are the doorways into their real self. And when you follow those threads, you show them that you're not just listening, you're present with them. And that's when they start to open. It's not because you forced it, it's because you earned it, gently. What makes someone feel truly seen is often found in the little moments. Remembering something small they mentioned days ago, following up on a story they shared, noticing how they respond to stress or joy or silence. These things seem insignificant, but they carry emotional weight. They send the message, I'm paying attention. That kind of attention is rare, and it makes people feel valued on a deep level. You become different from the rest. Not because you're louder, but because you notice more. That's the one move that matters. Not a grand gesture, but a consistent sense of presence. A way of being that makes someone feel like they're more than just another option. At the end of the day, we all want the same thing, to be seen, known, and accepted. Not for our curated versions, but for who we actually are. And the fastest way to make someone feel that is to be genuinely curious about them. Not just their stories, but their spirit. Not just their answers, but their why. That's how you unlock someone's heart. Not by trying to be perfect, but by offering a space where they don't have to be. When you stop trying to be the most desirable and start being the most present, you become unforgettable. That kind of presence isn't just attractive, it's transformative. And that's the move that truly opens hearts. One of the most magnetic things you can do in dating is shift your mindset from, I hope they like me, to, do they deserve a place in my life? This small internal shift changes everything. It's not about arrogance, but about having a grounded sense of self-worth. When you show up as someone who knows their value, you naturally become more attractive. You're no longer performing for approval, you're evaluating compatibility. This doesn't mean being cold or guarded. It means being intentional about who gets access to your time and energy. You're not here to be chosen, you're here to choose. That energy flips the dynamic and immediately creates respect. People can sense when you're operating from this place, and it draws in those who are emotionally ready to match you. Being the standard starts with how you speak, how you carry yourself, and how you make decisions. You're not waiting to be validated by someone else's interest. Instead, you already know what kind of connection you want, and you're willing to walk away from anything less. That's the move that unlocks real attention, the ability to detach from outcomes. When you aren't chasing, people lean in. When you don't flinch at silence or ambiguity, you show strength. Your power is in your calm, not your control. You don't beg for clarity, you expect it. You don't demand affection, you attract it. And you do this by being rooted in your own emotional clarity. That's what makes your presence compelling without effort. When someone feels that you don't need their approval to feel whole, they begin to see you differently. It changes the emotional tone between you. You're no longer seeking love, you're offering alignment. You're not trying to be impressive, you're looking for resonance. That level of self-respect is rare, and it commands attention without force. The one move that unlocks someone's heart is the quiet strength of not needing to win them. It's the smile that says, I'm happy with or without this. That's when people lean in, when they realize you're not afraid of walking away from what doesn't feel right. You're not proving your worth, you're living it. We've been conditioned to believe that love has to be earned through effort, sacrifice, or performance. But the truth is, the right kind of love isn't something you beg for, it's something that recognizes you. When you are your own standard, you stop shrinking or overextending to fit into someone else's life. You stop adjusting your pace to match someone who's unsure. And in doing so, you free yourself to attract someone who's already moving at your level. The real power move is emotional patience, not settling while you wait for alignment, not rushing just to fill space. That patience communicates depth, and depth is what creates lasting attraction. People who know their worth don't avoid love, they just aren't willing to distort themselves to receive it. They aren't threatened by silence or pauses. They aren't triggered by slow responses or unclear interest, because they know the right connection will never require them to compromise their peace. This is the mindset that turns dating from a game of guessing into an act of discernment. You stop asking, "How do I make them want me?" and start asking, "How do they treat me when I'm being fully myself?" That question is everything. It tells you who sees you, not just who sees your potential. And that's where real emotional safety begins, in being fully known and still fully respected. Being the standard means setting boundaries before they're tested. You don't wait to be disrespected to decide what you'll tolerate. You already know. And you communicate that through your actions, not just your words. You don't chase closure, you create it. You don't cling to mixed signals, you step back and observe. This isn't about playing hard to get, it's about living in emotional integrity. When you move this way, the wrong people fall away naturally, and the right ones step forward with clarity. That's the beauty of standards. They don't push people away, they filter them. You're not being difficult, you're being discerning, and that distinction makes all the difference. What keeps people emotionally engaged is not perfection, it's presence, purpose, and standards. When someone feels like they have to earn your time, they invest more. Not because you're withholding, but because your time actually means something. You're not available to just anyone. You're not easily impressed. That creates value. People don't chase what's always available. They commit to what they believe has substance. You become unforgettable not by being agreeable, but by being real. The more grounded you are, the more others feel the need to rise to meet you. That's how you bring out the best in someone, by not lowering your bar to meet them halfway. In this mindset, emotional detachment becomes a form of clarity, not coldness. You're not afraid to walk away from something that doesn't serve your peace. You're not chasing temporary attention when you're looking for deep connection. That kind of clarity radiates in your conversations, your presence, and even your silences. You don't rush to fill the void. You sit with it. You let people show you who they are over time. And most importantly, you allow space for them to choose you without pressure. When you're not attached to outcomes, your presence becomes more inviting. You stop performing and start observing. And that's when real intimacy has room to grow. The one move that unlocks someone's heart is not grand or dramatic. It's subtle, consistent, and intentional. It's the way you uphold your values even when it's tempting to abandon them. It's the way you maintain your self-respect even when you're attracted to someone. That balance of interest and independence is what creates magnetism. You're saying, "I'm open to connection, but I'm not dependent on it." That message is powerful. It allows someone to engage without feeling pressure, and it gives you the space to assess, not just impress. You're not waiting to be chosen, you're waiting for something real to reveal itself. At the end of the day, being the standard is about showing up for yourself first. It's about knowing what you bring to the table and not begging someone to sit with you. You don't have to chase or convince when you understand your own worth. That understanding creates peace, and peace is attractive. When someone senses that your life is full, with or without them, they don't take your presence for granted. They show up with intention, not assumption. And that's how you unlock someone's heart, not through pressure, but through presence. Not through fear, but through fullness. Not by needing them, but by knowing yourself.